Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you're a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Before I get into it, I do want to say thank you so much to anybody that has subscribed, liked, and shared the content, whether it be on YouTube and or Instagram. It really does mean a lot, and I sincerely thank you very much for your continuous support. Why have I left the Gold Coast Titans until last? Well, they've got the bye in round number 1, so I thought that I could just leave them until last, basically. So without further ado, let's get stuck into them. The men from the Glitter Strip begin their pre-season in Toowoomba against the Brisbane Broncos on a Sunday afternoon at 2:30 p.m. Queensland time. 1 week later, they take on the Dolphins at KO Stadium on a Saturday night. Now, into their season proper for the Gold Coast Titans. Round number 1, they have the bye. Round number 2, their first game of 2025, they return to the scene of the crime, pretty much anyway, in my opinion. It's almost 1 year to the day that the Titans went down to Belmore in 2024. Big Tino Fa'asuamaleaui did his ACL, and that pretty much, it put a pencil, it didn't put the red pen, but it put a pencil through them in the minds of many, and they start their 2025 campaign in Belmore for Sunday twilight footy against the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Round number 3, they have their first home game of the year against the Newcastle Knights. That is a Saturday night football game. Usually these early Gold Coast games are situated Saturday or Sunday, 2 p.m, 3 p.m. in the searing, blazing sun, and thank friggin' goodness that the Gold Coast Titans fans have been able to dodge it this time round. In round number 4, it's a shortish turnaround. They play on Saturday against the Knights on Saturday 7:30, and then they take on the Eastern Suburbs at Allianz Stadium Friday 6 p.m. kickoff. And I think, I might need to be corrected here, but I think this is the first game that the Gold Coast Titans will have played at the brand new Allianz Stadium. Round number 5, they host the Dolphins for Saturday afternoon footy, or 4:30 p.m, so twilight footy there. So that still might be a little bit muggy there. So the first 5 rounds, they're away to Sydney twice, and they're at home twice with a bye-in there. The strength of opposition they can handle. I think that if they really come out switched on, and I've got a feeling about the Gold Coast Titans this year, if they can come out swinging, I think maybe they could end up being, well, best case scenario, 3-1, I reckon, at the end of 5 rounds. Part 2 for the Gold Coast Titans sees them travel down to Wynn Stadium in Wollongong to take on the St George Illawarra Dragons Friday, 6 p.m. They're back at home to take on the Canberra Raiders, and they are situated Sunday, 2 p.m, so that will be a warm one indeed. Round number 8 is Anzac weekend, and they participate the day after Anzac Day against the North Queensland Cowboys in Townsville, Saturday twilight footy. And if you've seen or noticed the pattern here, they are away, home, away, home, away, home. Round number 9, they're at home technically. It's at Suncorp Stadium for Magic Round. They take on the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs twice inside the first 9 weeks, and that is Sunday, the 2 o'clock game or 1:50 game. And to finish off part 2 for the Gold Coast Titans, they travel down to the Hunter Valley to take on the Newcastle Knights for Friday night footy. That is the 6 o'clock game. So in this 5-week stretch, they've got teams that they can handle. They visit the Knights and the Dragons and the Cowboys, records that they don't have the best of luck against. But other than North Queensland, in my opinion, with all due respect, with as humble as I can be, I reckon that the Titans, again, if they're good enough, I reckon they can do about 4-1. I really think that they can do this. Part 3 begins in the nation's capital when they take on the Canberra Raiders for Sunday afternoon footy. That is the Channel 9 game as well for the Gold Coast Titans, and that is the second week in a row that they would have been on the road. Thankfully, however, they do get the bye in round number 12. Round number 13, this is the first game at Seabus Super Stadium since round number 7. They haven't been on the Gold Coast at Seabus since round number 7 against the Canberra Raiders. They're finally back in front of the home fans against the Melbourne Storm a few days after State of Origin Game 1 that emanates from Suncorp Stadium. Saturday, 3 p.m. Hard to say who will back up. There's a chance that players will be rested. But finally, they do get a home game at Seabus Super Stadium for the first time in 6 weeks, the Gold Coast Titans. Round 14, they take on the Brisbane Broncos in a fully loaded game. That is Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Round 15, they have their one and only Channel 9 Friday night football game at home. They take on the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles, but this game is going to be Origin affected. It is during the split round. So inside part 3, this 5 week stretch, they have a bye, but they take on the Storm, Broncos, and the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles in there, and also the Raiders in Canberra as well. So that is a really tough stretch, but the strength of opposition gets pretty heavy right then and there. Part 4 for the Titans, they travel down to CommBank Stadium to take on the Eels Sunday twilight footy. 1 week later, they're back in front of their home fans for Sunday afternoon footy. Channel 9, they take on the North Queensland Cowboys. Their third and final bye drops in round number 18, and round 19, a few days after the Game 3 Sydney State of Origin contest, they host the Brisbane Broncos, and it's hard to say if anybody will back up from that contest, especially if Origin is a decider. So yeah, there's a winnable game, but they're not going to get one over the North Queensland Cowboys, because the Cowboys are going to go down to the Gold Coast for the first time in about 3 years and finally pick up a dub on the glitter strip. If the Gold Coast Titans are alive and kicking when the run to the finals begins, what does their road look like? Well, it starts with back-to-back away games for the Titans. One down at Leichhardt Oval for Sunday afternoon footy, and then they travel across the ditch to take on the Warriors at Go Media Stadium for Saturday afternoon footy. They then, however, get back-to-back home games. They host the Penrith Panthers Saturday 3 p.m, and then they host the South Sydney Rabbitohs Sunday 2 p.m. Round 24, they're away to the Cronulla Sharks, and this game has annually been taken place at Coffs Harbour Stadium, but not this year. The Titans find themselves at Shark Park for the first time in 3 or 4 seasons, I would suggest, in round 24, Saturday 3 p.m. Round 25, they host the New Zealand Warriors, Saturday twilight footy. Their final away game of the season is against the Dolphins, Suncorp Stadium, Sunday afternoon footy. That is the Channel 9 game. And their final match of 2025 in the home and away regular season, I should say, is against the West Tigers, Saturday twilight footy. So in that run to the finals, they're away to the Warriors. They take on Panthers, South Sydney, Cronulla, Warriors twice. That's not the easiest run to the finals that I've seen for any team. This isn't me being disrespectful in any way, shape or form. I just think that is a really frustrating fixture for the Gold Coast Titans to navigate in 2025. There's not like besides the last 3 weeks where they don't leave the state of Queensland, they have 2 home games in the space of 3 weeks. Despite the final 3 weeks of their season, there's really not a part, I believe, that you can really grab some consistency, like grab the season by the horns for the Gold Coast Titans. So, because they're just zigzagging, they're up and down like a friggin' yo-yo, especially in the first half of 2025, the Titans. So, yeah, they do need to start well against the Bulldogs, and I think they can. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt this year, and by doing so, I think that they are a top 8 sneaky chance. I really do. That team on paper is too good to not be playing finals footy, but it's all up here for the Gold Coast Titans, and also defensively, of course, as well. As far as the strength of opposition goes, yeah, it's all the Queensland teams twice, but then it's the Warriors, Tigers, the Bulldogs, and the Raiders. Those are teams, maybe besides Bulldogs, but they're teams that they can pick up victories against. They have proven that they can get victories against them. I'm a little bit optimistic about the Gold Coast Titans this year, but I've been bitten way too many times to actually fully put my trust into them. But I really hope they have a good season. At the very least, finish 10th, or best case scenario, finish in 7th or thereabouts, I think. It's not the easiest draw that I've seen. Again, it's a draw where like I just can't see an avenue where you can get some consistency. It's just up and down from Queensland to Sydney, Queensland to Sydney. But alas, that is it. Thank you very much once more for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll obviously do this again next year for the 2026 fixture. But yeah, thank you again for your continued support. And I'll see you guys in the coming days with some brand new content. Thank you. Take care. Adios.